Alright guys, now that we have our, basic housekeeping crap taken care of, let's go ahead and start building the init method. Now this applet only has two methods, of course. The first one is the init, and I like putting a comment above all my methods just because whenever I build a huge program, these green things help, whenever I'm scrolling through them real quick, I can see where the methods start. So public void init, and of course the first thing we need to do is, now that we pretty much said, okay, Java, we're going to make a hash map and an array list, we might as well, in our init method, go ahead and make them since, we're always true to our promises. So this one was named website info, so let me just go ahead and copy that crap. So website info equals new hash map, and the title is a string, and the URL, which we want to tell our browser to go to, is actually going to be a URL object. And after this, just go ahead and put empty parentheses, just like that. Now after this, do the same thing with titles, which is our array list. Titles equals new array list, and this takes the title, which is a string, and empty parentheses after that. So now we created, and I spelled array list with a lowercase l. Embarrassing. So now what we basically did is we created a blank hash map and a blank array list. Now eventually what we're going to be doing is we're going to be populating these with information, but for now we won't really worry about them. So remember that I told you guys that we're going to have two methods in this applet. Well, of course, the first method is this init, and the second one is going to be a method called grab HTML info. Now what this method is going to do, if you guys couldn't guess, it's basically going to take all, you remember in the very first video, or the 28th video, whenever we made that HTML document? Well, what this method is going to do is pretty much grab all the necessary information out of those parameters and stick them into a hash map and an array list. Because Java can't work directly with an HTML document, it needs to convert them into something that's a little bit easier to work with. So it's more familiar with hash maps and arrays and crap than HTML documents. So that's what this method is going to do. So after this, let me go ahead and I'm going to code the rest of the init method, and then we'll jump into grab HTML info. I think that would be the easiest way to understand. So what I want to do now is just start building the GUI. I'm going to add this label right here that says, what website do you want to visit? And that's just, nice to give the user a nice little prompt. And in order to do that, just go ahead and hit add new JLabel, and as a parameter for JLabel, takes a string, what website do you want to visit, question mark. And as the second parameter, what you need to do is you need to write where do you want this label, and I'll just put it in border layout north. And hopefully, there we go. I was saying, alright, that doesn't frickin' turn blue, then I messed something up. Alright, so after that, after we added our label to the GUI, and again, this just adds the title at the top of our applet, what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and basically make the other part of the GUI, which is a list. So our GUI is really simple. All it has is a label, which is what website do you want to visit, and a list underneath it. And our list only has two items in it, the new Boston.org and Bucky's Twitter. So let's go ahead and first of all make that list right now. Now the list is going to be this JList because, of course, since we have a JLabel, we'll add a JList, and that makes up the GUI. So let's do that right now. Main list equals new JList. And for a JList, the first parameter it takes is, and actually the only parameter, is basically an array of items. So what we want to do is take our array list, which is titles, and to convert it to an array, use the method to, oh, look at this, it already knows what we're doing. It's like going to code the rest of the project for me. So I'm just going to type in 2 letters, and this is just going to code the rest of the applet for me. But anyways, what we did now is we're saying, okay, worry about this later on, but we want to add a pretty much a title to the applet, and also the list, which is going to consist of all the titles. And basically, there are only going to be 2 things in this list: the newboston.org and Bucky's Twitter. So after this, what we need to do is, now that we have the shell of our applet made, we can go ahead and start adding some smarts or intelligence to our applet. Now, this is how our applet is going to work. There's going to be a listener that sits on the applet and waits for the user to make one of these selections. As soon as the user clicks one of these things, for example, I'm going to go ahead and click the newboston.org right now, it's going to say, whoa, wait a minute, they just freaking clicked something. That means that I have to run some code to take them to the website. So anytime that you want to wait for the user or visitor of your website or applet to do something, you need to add a listener. Now the listener for this is, well, it's called a list selection listener, but I think what I'm going to do is wait for the next tutorial, and then I can code my whole entire listener instead of breaking up between this video and the next one. So anyways, in the next video we're going to code the listener now that you know what it does. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you then.